What is up, boyos? Recently, we had a PlayStation showcase that just happened. It was pretty lackluster, to say the least. I think a lot of people were pretty disappointed in what we saw at this showcase. And one of the main things that was missing from this showcase was The Last of Us Factions. This is a game we heard about many years ago. Neil Druckmann has made posts about it, that it was originally supposed to come out with The Last of Us Part 2, which we know it did not. And the reason it did not is because he said, it's turning into something far bigger, into its own kind of game. I think he showed up at last year's Game Awards. It was either Game Awards or Summer Games Fest, and said, we just need a little bit more time to work on it, right? So at the PlayStation Showcase, which we'll be talking about the PlayStation Showcase on this week's episode of Last Week in Games, which you could catch live on Sunday at twitch.tv/lonercast. But at that showcase, we were all expecting to see Last of Us Factions. It's time to see what that game is all about. It has been 4 years just about since we knew that Last of Us Factions was a thing, and it's been about 3 years since The Last of Us Part 2 has come out, and when Factions was originally supposed to come out. And to our surprise, it was not shown at that PlayStation showcase. Well, out of nowhere today, we got hit with a tweet from Naughty Dog, and here's what it says. The Last of Us fans, we know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our The Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job our studio has done thus far, but as development has continued, we've realized what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. We're grateful to our fantastic community for your support. Thank you for your passion for our games. It continues to drive us. Now, you may be thinking, okay, well, they didn't show up because the game's not quite ready. They got more time to work. I mean, in and of itself, that's already kind of concerning because, like I said, it's been 3 years since this game was supposed to come out initially. It's cool that Naughty Dog is working on a single-player game, but this does not bode well for The Last of Us Online. Well, the story gets even worse. Jason Schreier on Twitter posted a tweet to an article that he wrote. So Jason Schreier on Twitter posts a link to his article, where in the article he discusses the fact that Sony Group has slowed down development on an upcoming multiplayer game in its long-running The Last of Us video game series, as the creators reassess its quality and long-term viability, according to 4 people familiar with the project. The team working on the game was scaled back after a recent evaluation, said the people, who asked not to be named because they were unauthorized to speak publicly. A small group remains on the project while the company reevaluates the direction. While the game has not been canceled, many of its developers have been moved to other projects. Following requests for comment from Bloomberg, Naughty Dog, the Sony subsidiary working on the project, put out a statement on Twitter saying that we've realized what's best for the game is to give it more time. Additionally, according to Bloomberg's reporting, Destiny 2 developer Bungie, a company that knows a thing or two about developing live service shooters, was brought in to evaluate the game. Bungie apparently raised concerns that Naughty Dog's multiplayer game wouldn't be able to keep players engaged. Things are not looking good when it comes to The Last of Us multiplayer. And then to add insult to injury, Jeff Grubb, who is kind of everybody's inside scoop man, he retweeted Jason Schreier's article and said, all I've heard about this game is that it looks a lot like a studio's first live service game, and that Naughty Dog wanted to do things its way, which maybe didn't bode well for Factions. To me, this sounds like a dead or dying game. I think Naughty Dog had big ambitions with this one. I think they wanted to make a really cool, interesting, unique multiplayer game, live service game, but I just don't think they have the experience in that department to do that. And I think that was a big reason why Sony recently bought Bungie, was because they want to lean into that live market. But Naughty Dog isn't the team to do that. I loved Last of Us Factions in the first game. But whatever they're making here doesn't sound like that game, and it sounds like things are falling apart. The fact that they're paring down its development, even though they have said that it needs more time and needs more work, just doesn't sit well with me. I think that means that they may try to get something pushed out, but if they can't get it together, I think they'll just cancel the game. I think Naughty Dog is such a prestigious name in video games that they would not want to harm their credibility by releasing a game like Redfall, for example. After what we saw with Redfall with Xbox, I don't think Sony wants to release a game like that. When they didn't show Factions at that PlayStation showcase, I knew something was wrong. It was pretty evident that something's wrong with that game. Something is not going right with that game, and it's very unfortunate because it had so much potential. And it still has potential. There is a shot that they're able to turn this around. They bring in some of the team from Bungie to just flip this thing around. But I think Naughty Dog at this point is saying, hey, we need to start making way for our new big IP, our new big game, be that Last of Us Part 3 or a new IP, whatever they're working on. And I think they need to start cruising on that. If all they've been working on is this Last of Us multiplayer for the past 3 years, oof, that is bad for Naughty Dog, which means we've got at least 3 to 4 years before we hear anything from Naughty Dog. And I don't think they can waste any more time working on this game, which is unfortunate. Like I've said, I think this game sounds cool. I have been interested in this game since the announcement of this game. I loved Factions in the first game. So this is very sad. It's disheartening, but I could see Naughty Dog canceling this game before releasing something that's going to tarnish their name. So I am sure there will be more information to follow this. I hope that maybe we're looking too far into this and maybe the game just needs some finishing touches and that's why they're paring it down. But that's not what it seems. It seems that things have gone horribly wrong and perhaps this game is even dead. So that's the update on Last of Us Factions. An unfortunate update. I hate having to present this news this way. I'm a huge Naughty Dog fan. I'm a huge PlayStation fan. I'm a huge Factions fan. So this is very sad and disheartening. So we'll keep informing you on updates. Make sure you check out Last Week in Games. It's posted here every Monday. We do it live on twitch.tv/lonercast every Sunday. And you can find us on podcast services by looking Last Week in Games and also our other shows by looking up Lonercast. Thank you. Subscribe, follow, do what you do. Leave some comments. Let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you.